there you have it. That's Fadhili with great performance. Then we are going to be talking to Fadhili later on. And remember, we still have a challenge that we put up to him that, well, he'll give us kind of a theme song for Morning Express. So who knows? Maybe next week you'll wake up to a new theme song for Morning Express, courtesy of Fadhili. But anyway, that's just a challenge that we gave to him. And do stay with us right here. Now, joining me is none other than Sheena Frida, who is the founder of Fashion Development Consortium. Thank you for joining us this morning. And today we'd like to talk about fashion. And what better time to talk about fashion as we get into the weekend and prepare to, you know, dazzle those that we're going to be around us, depending on where you're going to be. But this is not fashion like we know it. But anyway, let's first of all start, Sheena, with you telling me a little bit about the Fashion Development Consortium. What is that all about?
Thank you so much, and thank you for having us here today. Basically, the Fashion Development Consortium is an organization that I have founded here that is working in strategic partnership with the Commonwealth Fashion Council to be able to give platforms through knowledge and expertise to the Kenyan fashion industry, so that we can be able to have quality and, you know, economic sustainability in growing of the industry.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about fashion, the first time I heard about fashion and, you know, what you do, immediately I thought of fashion of, you know, the suit that I wear to work, the nice skirt and blouse that one would wear to work, and fashion like we've known it. So what's different about this, what you have? The
different angle about this is basically luxury Kenyan fashion and Kenyan culture, and we want to bring a new look, an elevated angle to Kenyan fashion and really show the world, both domestically, because fashion is still growing, to people domestically and at international level. So if we are able to do this with culture and produce quality couture gowns, then we can achieve this and set our target to other countries within the Commonwealth and the global vision, basically. Okay,
you've mentioned a key word there, luxury fashion.
Yeah.
Does that set it apart from just your kawaida fashion?
Most definitely. Most definitely does. This varies from the quality of fabric, the type of fabric, the design. These are dresses that you would barely buy or wear off the runway. These are upmarket dresses that are designed and created in a different angle, so to speak, bringing back Alexander McQueen, who is one of my favorite designers. But I believe that there is so much potential in Kenya, and that we can grow this by coming together and creating astonishing pieces, separate from the same old designs that we've been having constantly, so that we can create our, you know, mark in Africa as well. Right. You have South Africa having their own brand and thing, you have Nigeria, and now we have Kenya. And if you look at the economies, we're quite about the same. And we can introduce luxury fashion to Kenya in order to create economic development, basically, apart from just showcasing.
And just to mention, we're going to be showing you a little bit of the fashion, not right now, we're going to be showing you, but it's fashion. I mean, I literally was doing the news, and she walked in and I was like, whoa. So you'll definitely have that effect, but that's coming up right here. But when we talk about luxury fashion and you talk about the Kenyan culture, is it fashion that is designed by Kenyans, or is it worldwide?
Yes, this is fashion purely under the Fashion Design Consortium. We want to uplift Kenyan fashion, made in Kenya, designed by Kenyan, and as much as possible source Kenyan fabric, because as it is right now, you don't have enough Kenyan fabric being sourced here. But with time, we want to have more and more fabric being sourced here. How do we ensure this is done? By starting to produce lines that are economically sustainable, so that we can have more producers bringing in Kenyan or producing Kenyan fabric here that we can use.
And now, looking at the kind of fashion, if what I've seen, and we're going to see shortly, is anything to go by, it's definitely luxury fashion. It's not just your kind of fashion for going anywhere. It's not the kind of thing that you'll wear, oh, you know, I'm going to see Auntie Maggie, so, you know, let me just dress up. This is more associated with the derby. Tell me a little bit about the derby.
The derby is amazing. First of all, the most amazing thing about the derby is it is one of the oldest cultures of Kenya yet unknown.
Is it a Kenyan culture or British?
Believe it or not, it's the 111th Kenyan derby.
Really?
Could you imagine?
Wow.
And this is a fact that is very little known, and we saw this opportunity and we wanted to mix this with fashion. And this is one of our core objectives, you know, apart from just dressing, interweaving Kenyan fashion with actual Kenyan culture. For example, horse racing, something amazing. And at the Derby this Sunday, the 17th, we'll be having all this amazing...
So the Derby is this Sunday?
Yes, this Sunday on the 17th at the Ngong Racecourse.
Right.
And we'll be having all this amazing ladies off the hat, flamboyant dresses, and it will basically just be a luxurious day. And we're mixing fashion, luxury, and Kenyan luxury, and we want to show the world, because you can imagine it's definitely international. And we have Fred Black and ICE Alliance sponsoring this, so it will be amazing.
Okay,
yeah.
What makes the Derby so luxurious? You know, when I look at some of the fashion display that is there, one is left wondering, have we really come to see the horses race, or is it just a good excuse for us to display what we have?
I understand you, I got the lot. But the beauty of horse racing, actually, when you look at the history of horse racing, in Kenya it started in the 1980s, and in England it started way back the Victorian times, and this was a time that the Duchess, the Queens would come and, you know, show up the Derby or the horse racing and really represent the titles, etc., or, you know, category or status in the ranking. And the guys would come to the Derby basically to bet and show the power, you know, of the amount or input that they put. It was a class kind of sport.
Right.
Yes. And this has been happening in Kenya, but not known to a lot of citizens here. And we want to bring it out and inform people and express that it's actually a Kenyan and local thing, and it is open and welcome to all.
I guess the other thing that made the Derby so luxurious was the fact that grade horses were owned by probably the elite.
Yes, most definitely.
And, you know, having them run. And betting, of course, is something which has also become very common in Kenya. But at this point, I think I'd want us to now look at what we have in terms of display. And, yeah, that is what made me go, wow. And there you have it. Tell me a little bit about this dress. First of all, maybe the lady who's displaying the dress. I'll just ask her to move just so a baby step forward. Yes, that's it. Oh my goodness graciousness me.
Yes, the most amazing thing about this dress is, first of all, it was made for the first time in partnership with another Kenyan designer. Her name is Hebzeba Kisia. And her brand is Fashion Mountain, and she's the first designer that we've taken in to give a platform as a pioneer project before the launch, where we can take in more designers. And the concept behind this dress is basically the leafy green and productive Kenya. Basically.
Oh, okay.
But
so it has a theme behind it.
Yes, it does have a theme. The leafy green and productive Kenya. And then with a Victorian age theme, kind of. So you have the big old Victorian dresses. Before, in the 20s, or they used to do it shark bones. But now we have more development. So yeah. So
now, forgive me, because as a man, I have to think like a man. And I'm trying to think practically. How do I even get into a car? Do I need a limo for this kind of a dress? How do I even move from home? This is definitely luxury. Here, where's the boda boda?
No.
Don't you dare get onto a boda boda with this one, because God knows what will happen. But anyway, practically speaking, how do I move from point A to B?
The thing is, high fashion is now coming to Kenya, and you have people who want luxury. And when you have a pretty lady like this and a pretty dress, you can't have butter. You get a carriage for that. But yeah, this is, yeah, true.
And maybe she's not on microphone. I was going to ask her how it feels, you know, to have that dress. But this is definitely a showstopper.
Yeah.
So is it really about the horses, or is it who can outdo who in fashion?
No, it's about the fusion. It's all fashion meets luxury. It's all about the fusion. The thing about the dress, like, look at the concept of it. Without the horse racing next to this, it's beautiful, but what's the purpose? The horse racing without the fashion, it's beautiful, it's amazing sport, you can go and bet all day, but without the luxury, what's the purpose? And at the same time, you find that fashion and horse racing is so exciting because it draws more Kenyans to the Ngong Racecourse, which is what we're looking for. We want to make it aware and actually debunk that myth of luxury, that fashion is, horse racing is purely a luxury kind of theme. Because if you think about the entrance fee is 200 to 100 shilling. So basically, yes, for the derby. So anybody can walk in. It's something accessible, and this is actually a culture that we can support with fashion in Kenya. So this is basically the end goal.
All right, I'll come to the general cost of that dress, because I'm still, for me, I'm still wowed by it. But let's come to the gentleman, and he's also very well dressed, very smart, and obviously not also a tuxedo is not something you'd probably wear to the office.
Sure.
But tell me about his attire as well.
Yeah, the tuxedo, the theme for this derby actually is pro-Kenyan, and the guy with the tuxedo is the supporting element for this one, surprisingly enough. But the thing is that we would like to have more Kenyan men being bold enough to dress up and feel the flamboyance even when you come for betting. Some may not want to put on the top hat, but you can imagine how dashing he looks. You should have something different that you have to wear for a sporting event apart from what you're wearing to office and day to day. Wouldn't you feel wonderful?
Oh, I'd feel great. But also looking at him, men are generally, especially locally, are not known to, you know, overdo, especially the dressing. Given that it's, I mean, you're just going to watch horses race, so you'd be lucky to have jeans and you know, a polo top, and you're done. And maybe even a cap that, you know, has a flag of Kenya.
And this is the myth we went to debunk. This is the origin. This is the source of the problem. We need to make it, you know, okay, and increase the awareness that it is fine to be fashionable. You don't have to go to a high-end event with slacks. This keeps happening over and over in Kenya, and if we're ever to have, you know, make a fashion mark, we need to start embracing, be experimental apart from having the same thing. I see the same thing on guys sometimes Monday to Sunday. Church the same khaki, Friday the same slacks. We should bring another Kenyan element, because we do have amazing Kenyan things that we can support. And the most amazing thing about this, by dressing up in this, you're supporting a Kenyan culture.
Absolutely.
How much better does it get?
Okay, let's go back to the dress, and in terms of it being leafy, I mean, I'm sure other designers would have probably done the, what would I call it, ordinary thing, and put black, red, green, you know, the, the flags of Kenya. But tell me a little bit more about this dress, especially when it comes to cost, and just generally, how long does it even take to have this dress done?
This dress was done in over a month. Literally, it took 6 weeks to make this dress, and I was the creative director, and we have Hebzaba. She's a Kenyan designer, again, Fashion Mountain, amazing lady, and it took 2 designers, seamstresses and everything to make this, so it took 6 weeks. Of course, the cost is quite evident, but what we would like to show is not look from the money angle, but look from the representation and culture angle. For us to be able to open and tap the Kenyan market to the international and domestic market, one thing is quality. You have to provide quality. I always have people who come to me and tell me, oh, Sheena, fashion is expensive and this and this. I tell them it's about development of the fashion industry, and if we're to pioneer this, there's definitely a cost that will come. Now, for example, if we have this having international visibility, you have different traction, you have different buyers, that means that the cost of production becomes less and less, because we have more buyers and we have more affordable fabric coming in as a result, because it's flipping. But if we get used to the same cost effective, we kind of end up in that stagnating point. And I see Kenyan fashion as amazing.
And let's face it, we do have Kenyans who can afford pretty much anything, so long as they're happy with it. Now, tell me a little bit about the headgear, because one of the things I know or I've seen about the derby is the hat.
Yes.
It's almost a defining factor, but I see like there's a flame on her head, you know, in terms of is this new designs that are coming out? Yes,
and I like that you say the flame, because that was the exact concept.
Oh, so I got it.
And we wanted to show, you know, the fiery nature, almost an aggressive but beautiful feminine nature to the floral. She's like Kenyan Mother Nature, and how fierce we are. And of course the headgear is definitely a must do, and she's kind of like the queen. The dress will be closing. There will of course be other dresses showcasing on the day, but her dress will be closing, and she's like the queen of the Mother Nature that is Kenya.
Okay.
And that is where we have the whole, but for the Derby Day, of course, most definitely come in a big flamboyant corsage. This is the cue for the day.
So coming up to, coming back to the Fashion Development Consortium, are you going to have like a fashion show that will display this, this fashion?
Yes.
Or are you just going to have people dressed up and mingling with everybody else and not hoping, but seeing that your fashion is going to stand out?
No. We're going to have, first and foremost, we're going to have a couture runway. This will be right before the main Derby race itself. So this will start at 3. So we'll have very amazing collection there of the models and the designer as well. You can get to meet her. And after that, we will definitely have them mingling with the people and talking and exchanging so that we can have more people having access and interest in the fashion as well as horse racing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, fashion, from what I understand it, is not just the dress.
No.
It is a whole feeling.
Yes.
It is a whole culture.
Yes.
There's a whole thing that surrounds it. Now, because I can imagine if you wear this dress, there's certainly a certain way you'd expect her to walk, to behave. What are some of those added, things that are required when you go for the Derby?
Definitely off the hook. For this Derby is luxury Derby. That's what we're introducing here. We want to create fashion and luxury. So color is the first thing. Of course, confidence. Always, no matter what you wear, you need to be confident. If you're not confident, it passes. That's the other thing. Nice pair of heels. And the massive fascinator or corsage is highly encouraged because we will have very flamboyant people. We have people flying in from different countries. It's going to be as well featured internationally in different countries, and we want to showcase Kenya. So come in your own way of representing Kenya in fashion. As the madame, we can try with the madames as the guys come for betting and getting to know the horses.
Right.
My favorite is Manzuli from the Macan stable. Amazing horse. But besides the point, so color, confidence, and definitely corsage, fascinator, perfect for the day.
Okay. And now, in case somebody wants to come for the Derby and they're thinking, okay, this looks good, but I might feel a little bit intimidated given that maybe the best dress I have is my Sunday best, the one I go to church with, and which is okay. There's nothing wrong with it. But what's in fashion? What is it that somebody should be looking out to so that you're both comfortable, but at the same time you don't feel out of place?
Fitting is always perfect. Fitting and color. You have the pencil dresses going on now. Very easy and accessible to have it fitted, get it in color, and maybe get a small flower or a smaller corsage version that is quite readily available, and that will be perfect. Something fitting, easy to move around at the race course, easy to interact, network as well, and with a small pin-up. Maybe.
Okay, and what actually happens at the race course? I mean, once you get there, do you just stand by the, the rails and, look at the horses and hope that yours wins?
No. I'm very happy this is coming up because this is what we need to debunk. It's amazing. It's not just, an open field with the rails. Once you come in through the entrance, there are multiple things that will be going on. We will be having different people showcasing. For example, we have the Kura, the Irish pub that is based there, that will be serving variety of food, choma being one of them. I'm a choma fan, so
that's a story for another day.
This is among the things. We have Moet sponsoring there, different types of food that will be there. We have stands. We have the grandstand that gives you a very amazing view that you can come, sit, eat. We have the betting arena for those interested in betting, different things, betting book, networking as well, because we will have a variety of people from different countries interested in fashion, interested in corporate, interested in horse racing, and this is the perfect ambience to chill on a Sunday with the children as well. It's totally a family event.
Right. And now coming to the betting and all that, does one need to be skilled in betting, or are there people who advise on how to do that? Because I could also just be coming to watch the horses or see the fashion rather than actually participate in the betting.
The most amazing thing is they actually do have a guideline and the types of bets that you can take. And you can start small. and gradually get to big, or just do it for fun. For me, I bet for the popcorn for the kids. I do it. It's quite a fun and engaging sport to just find out the stakes, and as well support Kenyan horse racing and the people who train these horses and, you know, work with them. I think it's amazing, but there is a guideline on the betting system, and once you're able to get the race card, you're able to go through and see what type of bet you want to have.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's come to the gentleman's fashion again, and in regards to what's in fashion right now. We've talked about the ladies, it's color, it's the headgear, but men sometimes are a little bit restricted or limited in terms of what's available.
True.
What's in for the men? If yours was not a tuxedo, what else would you be displaying?
Simple and chic. Simple and chic. That's usually it. For guys, I believe that minimal but well detailed is very important. Whenever I talk about guys, I keep saying Tom Ford, Tom Ford, Tom Ford. It's very minimal, and or Trevor Noah. Very minimal, chic. You just add relevant details, but ensure that the suit or shirt you're wearing is well fitted. That's number one where guys go wrong. Make sure it's well fitted and add very minimal detail. Like for the derby, you can have color. We're encouraging color, maybe to match your lady, or just to be you and flamboyant. And the most amazing thing is that Fashion Development Consortium is actually awarding best dressed and male and female for the day. So now you have incentive.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but yes, minimal, fitting, well cut. That's what I would say. So
for the men, color is also encouraged.
Color is encouraged.
The better?
Yes, if you can do a bow tie, if you can do a small floral, if you can do a, you know, pocket square, brighter the better.
Okay. Now, one of the concerns I normally have on a personal basis is with this kind of dressing, it's really nice, but I kind of feel like it's British and taking into account things like weather. In Britain, it's very cold, so the hat, the tuxedo, the bow tie keeps me warm. It's practical and smart. But now, when it comes to Kenya, man, that sun is blazing. So having that hat and at the same time a bow tie and a coat might feel a little bit too much for some. What are the alternatives, if any? What I would say, fashion, to give us a fashion statement, it has to be in felt and passionate affair. For example, I could easily drive a smaller car, but instead would prefer to drive a limo. That's an example, for example. Limo has for an occasion. Yeah, true. But I think basically fashion is a statement. You exude what you would like to show from within. So for example, instead of wearing the full tuxedo, you could get elements of this and incorporate it into your normal suit or with lighter fabric. So you could just have elements that exude the same thing without having the full cast on tax, especially with the weather. So I guess the name of the game here is just different, colorful, flamboyant. It is luxury fashion after all, so really you don't want just your mediocre, normal kind of dressing to the office kind of thing. And maybe tips, and what do you think of the way basically Kenyans dress, especially when going for functions? I've looked at some of the articles that go around, and case in point, weddings, you'll find people in you know, jeans and all that. Generally speaking, how is Kenyan fashion? I think for the first time, actually, for the first time, I think that Kenyan fashion is actually peaking, and it just needs a corridor or a push to elevate it. Kenyan fashion is actually developing really fast, unlike it was a few years back. So I think we're heading in the right direction, and you have a lot more people dressing appropriately, like who are more aware, like event aware or social aware or fashion aware. But most definitely we need to make it a bit more, you know, known and a bit more influence to have, you know, the rest following. It is true that we do have some who literally don't pay attention to that, but I think it's growing. We have more than less, so good. Which is a good thing. The other debate that has been going on, and I know there was a time to try and get it done, was to have a national dress, which we seem not to have as Kenya. What's your take on that, and what's the way forward? Or is it even necessary? Maybe we don't need one. No, I think it's amazing. It would be amazing to have a national Kenyan dress. And what I would say, designers are amazing. One designer is good, two, great. A pool of them to design something, then that would be
amazing sharing of resources, creativity, and intellectualism. I think we should not give up on our national dress. It's one of the most important things. And I think if we can have you seen this amazing new young designers? It's amazing what they can create. And if we can have a pool of them work together to revive this Kenyan dress, it would be perfect. This is one of my visions.
From a fashion designer's perspective, would define a Kenyan attire?
I think the first Kenyan dress we had, again, design goes with the timing, with the time as well. And at that time, I think the basic understanding was just slap on the flag all over.
The flag has to be there.
Yeah, but now all these things have changed, and I think a perfect Kenyan dress would be a dress that it incorporates different elements of Kenya into it, but in a simplistic, realistic, but creative angle. And that I would like to see, instead of just having the flag everywhere. I believe in the flag, it has to be there at some point, but in a creative and relevant angle, such that it's attractive apart from to the domestic, to the international as well. Because what I like to say is, every time I talk to designers or in the creative industry and we push for, don't just design and think local, design and think international as well. We have a country to represent, and we have amazing things to represent. Let them lift off our runways for once.
Absolutely. Now we need to conclude because of time, but maybe just your closing comments and possibly what to look forward to at the Derby. Which is going to be what, this Sunday?
Yeah, this Sunday. Gates open at 12. Feel welcome. We're expecting a big crowd. Definitely get an umbrella for the sun, and so you can stay more and enjoy. Quite a lot of food, nice places for the children to play, good grandstand for the wife to sit, and very amazing betting for the guys. Yes, or the girlfriend. And amazing betting and fashion.
All right. Thank you very much, Sheena Frida, the founder of Fashion Development Consortium. And if you do go to the Derby, well, do send us pictures and let us know how it went, and fill us in. This is where we're going to wind up Morning Express this morning. But like I had promised, we do have Fadhili, who is ready to give us some songs. So far, so good. Remember, we had also put him on a challenge, and that was to give us a song for Morning Express. Let's hear what he came up with. But first of all, he's going to give us a song, then he'll wind up with that. So from Morning Express crew, would like to wish you all a fantastic and a great weekend. For those of us who are still on KTN News, do stay with us right here. We've got a news track coming up in just a bit. For now, Fadhili.